NASA calls it the most protein-dense plant on Earth. Thai grandmothers have eaten it for centuries. You can grow it in a bucket on your windowsill. Yet almost nobody in the Western world has ever heard of it. Here is what does not add up. This plant contains up to 45% protein by dry weight. Beef sits at 26%. It doubles its own biomass in less than 2 days. Soybeans need 4 months to reach harvest. It requires no soil, no tractors, no pesticides, and no competition for farmland. A single pond can outproduce an entire soybean field. The protein is complete. Every essential amino acid. A nutritional profile so close to eggs that researchers in Israel called it the vegetable meatball. So why have you never heard of it? The answer involves 3 forces that have kept this knowledge locked away from the Western world. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to grow it yourself. For generations in northern Thailand, families have harvested tiny green spheres from still water. No farm required, no fertilizer purchased. Just a wooden scoop and patience measured in hours. They called it kainam, eggs of the water. The plant floated on calm ponds and irrigation ditches, requiring nothing but sunlight and stillness. Grandmothers stirred it into omelets. Children ate it for breakfast. The protein was complete, the taste mild, the harvest endless. Pantham Navin and McGarry documented this in 1971. Western scientists finally noticed what Southeast Asian villages had known for centuries. The species was Wolffia globosa, the smallest flowering plant on Earth. You could fit dozens on a single fingernail. Dr. Eric Lam at Rutgers University recognized something remarkable. This plant belonged to a family of 36 species found on every continent except Antarctica. It had appeared in scientific journals since the 1970s. Researchers published paper after paper confirming its nutritional density. Yet Western agriculture never adopted it. Grocery stores never stocked it. Nutrition textbooks never mentioned it. The data existed. The proof accumulated. The plant kept growing in American ponds, ignored. Then NASA started searching for food that could sustain astronauts on missions to Mars. NASA and the Translational Research Institute for Space Health needed a solution. Long-duration missions to Mars meant astronauts could not rely on resupply ships. They needed food that grew fast in tight quarters with minimal resources. They tested every candidate imaginable: lettuce, kale, soybeans, potatoes. One plant outperformed them all. Dr. Barbara Demick-Adams at the University of Colorado Boulder led the research. Her conclusion, published in 2020, should have made international headlines. Duckweed is the most protein-dense plant on the planet. It produces zeaxanthin and lutein, antioxidants that fight radiation damage. It thrives under artificial light at half the intensity of summer sun. The same plant Thai grandmothers scoop from buckets now feeds research programs designing food systems for interplanetary travel. Here are the numbers that should have changed everything. Appenroth and colleagues published their findings in Food Chemistry in 2017. Duckweed protein content ranges from 20 to 45% dry weight depending on growing conditions. For comparison, beef contains 26% protein. Eggs sit at 13%. Soybeans reach 36% on a good day. A 2024 paper in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that one species, Lemnoideae, reached 45% crude protein. That exceeds beef by nearly double. The amino acid profile is complete. Every essential amino acid present. The protein meets or exceeds World Health Organization requirements for human nutrition. Researchers in Israel found the amino acid composition so close to eggs, they called duckweed the vegetable meatball. But protein content tells only part of the story. Growth rate tells the rest. Ziegler and colleagues measured doubling times as fast as 1.34 days. Under ideal conditions, some species approach 16 hours. A 2025 paper in Scientific Reports describe duckweed as the closest plant to what researchers call the Darwin-Wallace demons, the theoretical organism that reproduces as fast as mathematically possible. Picture the timeline. Day 1, you place a thin green film on still water. Barely visible, just scattered dots smaller than lentils. Day 3, a carpet so thick you cannot see through it. The green has multiplied into a dense mat covering everything. Day 5, you harvest handfuls, and the container looks exactly as full as before. Compare this to anything else you might grow. Soybeans need 90 days minimum. Beef cattle need 18 months to reach slaughter weight. Duckweed doubles before most people remember to water their houseplants. Now consider yield per hectare. Sosa and colleagues compiled data from multiple studies in 2024. Duckweed produces 2,080 kilograms of protein per hectare per year. Soybeans produce 303 kilograms. Corn produces 179 kilograms. That is not a small difference. Duckweed yields nearly 7 times more protein than soy per unit of land, 10 times more than corn. Under optimal greenhouse conditions, researchers measured 10 to 18 tons of protein per hectare annually. One calculation summarized it simply. The surface of a small pond can outproduce an entire soybean field. The environmental numbers make the case undeniable. Boykalar and colleagues measured carbon footprint in 2019. Duckweed produces 0.4 kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalent per kilogram of plant material. Beef produces 27 kilograms. That is nearly 70 times the environmental impact. Duckweed needs no tractors, no pesticides, no competition for cropland. It grows on water that would otherwise sit unused. These numbers existed in peer-reviewed journals for decades. Every advantage measurable, every claim verifiable, every comparison favoring duckweed by margins that should have revolutionized agriculture. Yet grocery stores stock zero duckweed products. Nutrition textbooks ignore it. Agricultural policy never mentions it. The question demands an answer. Why did this knowledge stay buried while the world debated how to feed 9 billion people? 3 reasons compound each other. First, duckweed looks like pond scum. Western agriculture values appearance and spectacle. The visual drama of a cornfield commands attention. Amber waves of grain inspire national anthems. A microscopic plant you need a magnifying glass to appreciate does not photograph well for farm subsidies. Nobody brags about a floating green carpet the way they brag about a tomato harvest. Second, duckweed cannot be patented in its natural form. No seed company profits from something that reproduces by splitting in half. No equipment manufacturer sells specialized duckweed tractors. No processing facility stands between you and your food. Every middleman in industrial agriculture loses money when you grow complete protein in a bucket on your windowsill. Third, the industrial food system depends on complexity. It relies on long supply chains, storage infrastructure, temperature-controlled transportation, and processing facilities that add cost at every step. A plant that grows itself in any container threatens the entire model. Corporations profit from your dependency. Simple solutions disrupt billion-dollar systems. But in northern Thailand, this knowledge never disappeared. Wolffia globosa still appears in vegetable markets today. Traditional dishes pass through generations unchanged. Women harvest the same ponds their grandmothers harvested. The knowledge survived because it never required permission from institutions that had no interest in granting it. Dr. Wayne Armstrong spent decades documenting every duckweed species on Earth. He found Wolffia growing wild within miles of major American universities. The same plant Thai grandmothers harvest floated unnoticed in campus ponds across the United States, hidden in plain sight, waiting in drainage ditches behind agricultural research buildings. Then space travel changed the equation. NASA needed fast-growing food for missions where resupply was impossible. Suddenly, duckweed mattered to people with funding. Commercial interest exploded almost overnight. Parabel built aquafarms across 900 acres in Florida. producing protein ingredients called lentane. Hinoman in Israel attracted $15 million from Ajinomoto to produce their Mankai superfood. Harvard School of Public Health started serving duckweed smoothies in their cafeteria. The European Food Safety Authority approved Wolffia globosa for human consumption. Venture capital discovered what grandmothers always knew. The same plant available for free in temperate ponds now commands premium prices in health food stores. What changed was not the science. The science existed for decades. What changed was who stood to profit. Now you can bypass all of them. Here is exactly how to grow it yourself. You need any container that holds water. A 5-gallon bucket works perfectly. A plastic storage bin works too. A kiddie pool scales up production. Even a glass baking dish on a windowsill will do. The key principle is simple. Choose shallow and wide over deep and narrow. Duckweed only grows on the surface. 3 inches of water depth is plenty. More surface area means more growing space. For water, you have several options. Dechlorinated tap water works well. Let it sit in an open container for 24 hours and the chlorine evaporates naturally. Rainwater works even better. Pond water is ideal if you have access to a clean source. If you use tap water and cannot wait, add a few drops of aquarium water conditioner from any pet store. The pH should fall between 6.0 and 7.5. Most tap water already sits in this range. Temperature between 60 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit is optimal. Duckweed tolerates more variation than you might expect. Now, the nutrients. Fish tank water is perfect. The nitrogen from fish waste provides exactly what duckweed needs. If you do not have a fish tank, dilute any balanced liquid fertilizer to 1/5 the strength recommended on the label. A few drops of aquarium plant food each week sustains steady growth. Even a single decaying leaf provides enough starter nutrients to begin. Avoid over-fertilizing. Duckweed thrives on minimal input. Obtaining your starter culture is straightforward. Check local ponds if you can verify the water quality. Order online from aquarium suppliers. Ask anyone with a fish tank. 1 tablespoon is enough to start an entire bucket. Cover 10 to 20% of the water surface initially. Place your container where it receives bright indirect light for at least 6 hours daily. A sunny windowsill works. A shaded patio works. Direct hot sun all day can overheat the water, but morning sun and afternoon shade creates ideal conditions. Grow lights expand your options for indoor production. Now watch it happen. Day 1. A thin green film floats on still water, barely visible. Day 2. Noticeable multiplication begins. Day 3. The coverage thickens into a carpet. Day 4. You cannot see the water beneath. Day 5. You harvest. Skim half the surface with a small net or kitchen strainer. Leave the remaining half to regenerate. The container looks full again within 48 hours. Rinse what you harvest. Use it fresh in salads, smoothies, or omelets. Spread it thin on a tray to dry for protein powder that stores for months. 2 critical warnings. Never dump duckweed into natural waterways. Some species become invasive outside their native range. Compost your excess. Feed it to chickens. Give it to fish. And always verify your water source is clean before consuming anything grown in it. Start small. Scale up after you see the process work. That is the entire system. No permission required. No supply chain needed. No corporation between you and your protein. What Thai grandmothers knew for centuries, NASA confirmed with million-dollar research. The most efficient protein source on Earth was never hidden in a laboratory. It floated on forgotten ponds. It grew in drainage ditches behind universities. It waited in plain sight while industrial agriculture convinced you that protein required feedlots and 4-month growing seasons. Now you know the truth. You know the numbers. You know why this knowledge stayed buried. And you know exactly how to grow it yourself. Protein independence does not require wealth. It does not require land. It does not require permission from the system that profits from your dependence. It requires a bucket, water, sunlight, and this knowledge. If this changed how you think about food, subscribe. The next video goes deeper.